Welcome once again to your weekly update from the city of New Hope. Dave Kaiser from CCX Media, along with the mayor, Kathi Hemken from New Hope. Welcome, Mayor. How are you today?
Hi, Dave. Nice and warm.
Yes, that's good. A little sloppy outside. We'll get to a little bit about the snow and all that's happening around it in just a few minutes. We're going to start, though, today with the update in community development and mention a few things around the Green Step Cities program. Mayor, tell us a little bit more about what it is and what are some of the numbers you're hearing back from that program.
This program has been going on for about 7 years. There's 146 cities in the state that belong to this. And what they do is they try to encourage cities to have best practices put into place. So New Hope is actually ranked third of the 146 cities. And we just put in 2 new best practices. One is the fair housing policy that we just approved, and the other one is the Meadow Lake Safe Route to School, that they just approved that. That won't happen for a couple more years, but we're getting credit for approving it now, and that'll be done then. So we're really proud of the fact that we're third out of 146.
Fantastic. And there's information about that program on the city's website, newhopemn.gov. Let's talk about the curbside appeal program. You have another success story to pass along.
Well, a couple of them. So we just approved 2 more front doors, and one of them's got some side windows. Both of them will get rebates of about $1,000 a piece. So it looks like the program is going to continue on through 2023. The guy, by the way, that runs the program is about to have a baby. His wife is. And so he's been a little bit busy at the moment. So we don't hear too much about what's going on right now until this is the first time dad. So you know how that goes.
I understand. Here's another update for homeowners in Golden Valley, the Center for Energy and Environment. You've got some numbers here as well of how this program is really paying off for residents in the city.
Well, this last year we closed on 10, or CEE closed on 10 loans, which is really a big deal. Total of $169,000. So in the years that the 5 years they've been doing this, they've closed on loans that total about $607,000. So this, if you're going to do a project that concerns energy in your home, this is a good place to go to get some help on that. Now, the city also has an emergency loan program, and it's low interest. So if your water heater or your furnace goes out and you don't have the money, or you can't get the money, or you can't get a loan real quick, you can always contact the city, and they'll direct you to where to go. So if you just call the city's number and say, I need a emergency loan, they'll tell you how to go about getting that.
Very good. Again, a lot of that information on the city's website, newhopemn.gov. Well, a great friend of the city has decided to call it quits from the Planning Commission, and this is one that we both know and is going to be missed. Great volunteer for the city.
Jim Brinkman has been volunteering for the city for many, many years in various capacities. He's been on our Planning Commission for the last 18 years and finally decided, that's probably enough. So he's stepping down. So we'll, on the 23rd of January, we'll recognize him for his volunteerism and also give him a plaque and thank him for all the help that he's brought into the city and the things he's done for us. I don't think he's going away. I think he'll be doing something else. That's just the nature of Jim Brinkman.
I think you are correct. A couple more updates from community development in the city of New Hope. The first is the networking group. Give us an update on when the group meets next. It's coming up very quickly for those that might be watching this update early on.
So Wednesday, the 18th at 3 o'clock at Frankie's is their winter mixer. So it's just a chance to talk to other business people. I know that the business networking group in Crystal has been invited to come to that. So there's a lot of different people. If you do come and you've got a business, bring your business cards, because there's a lot of sharing of information at that. The next one is the 1st of February, and that will be at New Hope City Hall, and that's at 8:30 in the morning, and it's hosted by Sue Clacius.
Couple more updates to pass along here related to building use certificate of occupancy permits. Again, a mouthful there, Mayor. Tell us more of what this is and why businesses take part in this.
Well, the city needs to know the businesses that are in the city. And so by doing that, we ask them to get a business occupancy certificate. And a lot of times a business will move in and doesn't know that they need that. So about every 6 months, they go through the list and they go and they see where businesses have popped up They send them a letter saying, did you know you need to get this permit? We do that for a couple of reasons. We want to make sure the business is legitimate, is doing legitimate business. We also want to make sure that all of their fire suppression stuff is in order. If they're doing stuff with food, we want to make sure they're handling that food properly. And we want to know where they are so that if people call and ask, we can refer them to one of the businesses we have in New Hope. So
Mhm.
it's really beneficial to the business to register. And besides, it's part of our ordinance and they need to do that.
All right. Let's go to the police department, give you a few updates as we're in the middle of January. The first is Meals on Wheels. It sounds like the officers continue to help out with that program.
They do, and you know, every week I get a nice little note from somebody thanking me for I don't do the work, the officers are doing it,
Mhm.
but thanking them for that because it's just kind of an upbeat thing for them to be doing. The other thing that the officers were doing is we're hiring an embedded social worker. So
Mhm.
that person is embedded in the police department, and the whole idea behind that is a lot of the calls that the police go on, it's very obvious that we need a social worker there, and police officers aren't social workers. They're really good at it, but that's not their job. So we're going to have an embedded social worker who the police can then refer that person to. That person will come out and they know where all the services are that perhaps the person that called the police could use some of those services. So it's a very beneficial thing to have. We were sharing one with Crystal and Robbinsdale. We learned very quickly that we need one of our own, and so did the other two cities.
Mhm.
Very needed thing. We want to make sure it's the right person for the job. So they're doing that interviewing now. And just another thing with the police department, they had 532 police-related incidents between January 6th and January 13th. Now, that's not an unusual number, and keep in mind, that's not all just naughty things going on. If someone falls in their house and they call the police department, the police come out and help them get on their feet. I
Right.
know last summer there was a lady whose batteries on her electric wheelchair ran out. And she called, and the police came, two of them, and one pushed her home while the other one followed behind.
Very
So
nice.
these are just things that they do in the community that I think
Mhm.
are very welcome. But when you look at just the numbers, it looks like a lot, but
Mhm.
it's a lot of welfare things that are going on too.
Let's move ahead to Public Works. We promised we would talk about snow. So here's our snow section to talk a little bit about what's been going on. First, fire hydrants. Again, the need for residents to hopefully chip in and help out there.
If you have a fire hydrant in your front yard, please go out there and shovel it out. Right now, what's happening is Public Works is going out. They've got just a little free time between snowfalls to get some of that done, the ones that haven't been shoveled out. Just recently, there was a fire in Minneapolis, and when the fire department showed up, the hydrant was not shoveled out. They had to spend many valuable minutes
Mhm.
shoveling that out so they could hook up the hoses. When that happens, that means that fire continues to burn, and it could mean saving a house to get that shovel out. So if
Right.
you have the effort to do that, please do that. It's really, really important.
Couple other areas that they help out in is with catch basins, clearing those out and helping on some sidewalks. And they also are busy knocking down some of the high banks that have mounted up because of the snow. And they're not as high as the bank behind you, but there are some high banks. So how do they help out with intersections between snowfalls?
Well, just recently I called because I tried to pull out of my apartment complex and there was this big pile of snow and I can't see incoming traffic. And by
Mhm.
the time I get my nose of my car out far enough, it's out just a little bit too far.
Yeah.
And so that was just one of many, but a lot of those intersections, as they're plowed, that snow kind of piles up and it becomes dangerous. And then if it snows again, they have no way to put it. So they're trying to clear off those corners, the intersections where they can. Sometimes they're removing the snow, sometimes they can just push it back, but
Mhm.
they're also trying to push that snow back because they know we're going to have more snow
Yep.
before all this melts away. So they've been busy. They've been busy doing that.
I can imagine. All right, let's turn our attention to mailboxes. So what's some advice for residents about mailboxes and if they might get hit by a plow? What's that process as well?
First of all, the mailboxes, the city does not dig out your mailbox.
Okay.
That's up to you to do that. And if I understand that UPS and the postal service want that mailbox kind of dug out so they can pull in a little bit closer so they don't have to be right in the line of traffic. So that's your responsibility to clear that out so that your mail and your delivery folks can get to it. Now, if a plow happens to knock your mailbox over, and that happens, especially the ones that are sitting on the street, if they're too close to the curb, a lot of times the plow will catch it and knock it over. If that happens, you'll have a number on your screen that you're going to put up for Mr. Kramer. You call Mr. Kramer and tell him, you guys knocked my mailbox down. They'll
Mhm.
come out and put it in an emergency mailbox for you. And then when the snow melts and the ground thaws, they'll put a permanent one in. So that's to replace that. If a snowplow knocked it down, that's not your responsibility, that's ours.
Okay.
And we'll take care of that. But you need to call because they don't just drive around looking for mailboxes that are down. You need to call them and let the city know that it's been knocked down.
Good advice. One other note under Public Works, they are working very hard to try to get the outdoor rink skatable, but the weather is just not cooperating, is it?
No, it's not. That season is so short. And first we had this nice ice. It was hard to get because the ground was too dry. And then it snowed, which means the ice is not, it's not there to be skated on. So then that melts. And of course, now the ice is all bumpy because it doesn't melt uniformly. So they've been trying to put water on it to freeze it, but it's been above freezing. And
Mhm.
so they
Yeah.
they can't get a good ice on there. And they really want to do that. They try real hard to get that to happen. A lot of times they're all putting ice or water on either really, really early in the morning or later in the afternoon when it
Mhm.
gets a little bit cooler. But, please be patient with us because we're trying, but it's really hard to get good, decent ice. And then you can also go online and look at when the warming houses are open.
Okay.
So Liberty Park, Hidden Valley Park, and Lions Park are the three that have ice rinks. Hidden Valley just has a hockey rink, so it's just for hockey.
Okay.
The other two has general skating and hockey. The hockey equipment is not allowed on the general skating rinks. They have their own rink to play the hockey on, but the general skating rinks they can. But go online and
Okay.
look because we've had a little bit of trouble getting warming house attendance, and so it depends. They'll put that on there, and you'll know when the warming houses are open. But the lights will be on from 5 to 10 every night.
Website, great place to go, newhopemn.gov to find out that information about the warming houses. Let's update residents on the 169 noise wall. What is happening there? What activity is going on that relates to that type of work?
Well, if you happen to be driving north on 169, you've probably noticed on your right lots of tree branches laying in the gutters. Well, the Department of Transportation has been out trimming those trees, and in some cases, actually taking them down if they're emerald ash. And so they come by and they cut all that first, and it looks like a big mess. They will be by to pick up the mess, but they can't do it all at once, of course.
Mhm.
So they do it in a couple steps. So that's what's happening on 169, and it's most of it is north of 42nd.
Okay.
So if you're driving by and you see all that, it's not us that's doing that, it's the Department of Transportation.
All right, good to know. Let's move to Park and Rec. A lot of activity here as we head through the winter months. A lot of fun things to get involved in. The first one is for older adults. This one is related to a great cause and a great group called Don't It Make You Wonder. What are they up to now?
So you can always look in your in motion, and in
Right
there,
here.
there it is.
Mhm.
In there, they have all of the stuff that's going on and all the programs that are starting. But on this week, they're doing Don't It Make You Wonder about eagles. And so there'll be somebody there from 10 to 11:30 just talking about eagles and how they got to be our national symbol and how they nest and where they nest and all that. So they're always very interesting. It's $3. And with that, you get coffee and this enormous roll, which you don't have to eat it all at once, but
Okay, got it.
most of us do while you're listening to the lecture. So look in your in motion because there's lots of stuff in there that's fun. I did come a couple things.
Okay.
Oh, I have to back up a little bit. The youth basketball league has started practicing, and they're
Mhm.
going to have their first games starting the 23rd of January. If you haven't ever been to a youth basketball game, they're really fun. And I
Mhm.
think most of them will be at the Cooper Gym.
other programs that they've got coming up. We are going to get folks out to the golf course to play a little winter golf. Tell us again the details about that fun event.
So February 4th is the date, 12 to 3 is the time. And what they do is they plow the snow. So there's like a fairway with sides on it, that's
Right.
snow. And you use a golf club and you hit a tennis ball into an area that they've painted on there. It's just fun because even people that don't golf can play this game. Because
Mm-hmm.
the ball bounces off the snow and it just flies all over the place, and it's just fun. So they have 6 holes that they plow off, and they're relatively close, so you're not far away from the clubhouse.
Sure.
And then afterwards, they usually have s'mores and hot chocolate and things, so you can go get warmed up. It's just a fun Saturday
Yeah.
afternoon, and that's the 4th of February.
All right. Hope
Speaking
people
of
can get out.
Speaking of the golf course, they've been
Mhm.
so busy. They've had a couple baby showers there and birthday parties. If it's a place you want to bring a group of people, you're a New Hope resident, I believe the cost is $145 for 3 hours. You don't have to clean, you don't have to do anything. You just invite
Mhm.
your group to come there. It seems to be a really popular place to come these days on the weekends.
All right, we've got some news here that will get you a little bit warmer as we look ahead to spring and summertime. I understand there's already talk about softball and attendance and umpires. Give us that great news that'll warm us up a little bit.
Well, you know that spring is on the way when they start sending out letters to the softball teams to get them signed up for starting in the spring practice. So it won't be long now. And they're also looking for gym attendance and field attendance and softball umpires, adult
Mhm.
umpires. So if you're looking for a part-time job this spring and summer, or you happen to be in college and you need a job for the summer, what a great way to make a few bucks is to work at one of these areas. And they're all part-time jobs,
Yep.
and they'll be looking for those real shortly.
All right, here's something that's a little sooner than that might interest those that are in the 7 to 10-year-old range, something called black light dodgeball. This sounds very exciting.
Now, if you're a 7 to 10, this sounds really exciting.
Yes.
They play in the gym, and this will be in Golden Valley at one of the schools, and that's on the list of things that's also in motion. But they turn off the lights, and they have black lights in there, and they have glow in the dark balls, and you play dodgeball. Dodgeball is when you're kicking the ball back and forth. They play dodgeball, and all you can see is the lit up ball. Now, doesn't that sound like fun for 7 to 10-year-olds? What a
I'd
great
like to
way to
do
start
that.
the afternoon. I know, I know.
That does sound very fun. All right, go to the In Motion to find out more about that. Another note about Park and Rec, a statewide general meeting and awards event is coming up, and I understand New Hope will be attending and picking up an award as well.
Well, this group, it's the Minnesota Recreational Park Association, and they have this annual award. It's in Owatonna this year.
Mhm.
And one of our employees, Aaron Thielen, is getting an award down there for the work not only that he's done with the association, but for the work he's been doing in the city. He's the one that comes up with these really innovative ideas. And so he's getting an award for that. And we're really proud of him.
Congratulations to Aaron. Let's hop over to the ice arena for a quick update. Lots of activity at the ice center at this time of the year, as you might well expect.
Well, the boys and girls hockey, high school hockey teams always play at New Hope, where there's always a game there, it seems. You have to go into your go online and look at the ice arena to see when the times are. So the JV is playing and the varsity is playing on different days. So I can't even tell you what days they're going to be playing. Well, the youth hockey is also practicing, and they've got their games there. And then the Adult Hockey Association has their games on Saturdays and Sundays. So with all that happening, check to see if open skating is available on Friday and Sundays. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You just need to really go online and check. But if you want to, for not very much money, if you want to go watch a fun hockey game, those boys and girls high school games are really fun to watch.
Oh, it's exciting there. Final note from Park and Rec. With the snow we've got out there, Mayor, you are saying that the snow is just right now for snowman and snow sculpture making. Why should we get out there and do that?
Well, the snowman is not a good, the snow is not good for snowmen. I
Okay.
tried that on my deck and it just flaked away. However, it's all packed down. So if you're going to make a snow structure, there's still snow out there. You can kind of pack it down and carve it into whatever it is you want to carve it into, and then take a picture, name it, send the picture along with your name and address to the park department. And I understand they have a few entries already, but it's going to snow more, and you have until the end of March to get that in. And it's just fun to see all the snowmen. Some of them are just little tiny, about the size of a teacup, and some of them are huge.
Right.
So, and they don't have to be spectacular, they just have to be fun and have a fun name.
Great way to get residents involved. One final note we have today in the update is from Human Resources, and it involves the city manager position. So give us an update of what's been happening and what the process is going forward.
So last summer, our city manager retired, and we did an internal search. We had a couple candidates, and one of them was our police chief who applied for the job. He held the job for 6 months. After giving it a second thought, he said, you know, I really can't do justice to both jobs. And so he's going to revert back to the police chief job, which means that we have to go and recruit for a new city manager. So we've contacted a company called DDA. Crystal just used them to get their city manager. So we'll use them, and they'll do a national search for a new city manager for us. This process takes forever, and it's probably going to take till June.
Okay.
Now, Tim Hoyt, our chief, who is now the city manager too, said he would stay on in that position till we get somebody in and get them trained, and then slowly he'll start backing off and going back to the police department job where he loves.
Okay.
So that's what's happening with that. It's going to, I'll keep you updated as we go along, but that's just a long, slow process.
All right, we will appreciate the update. So that is it from the City of New Hope today. Again, the website, newhopemn.gov. If you have questions or look for information about some of the topics we touched on, certainly go there and stick with us in just a minute. We'll look at some of the events that are coming up in and around the city in the coming weeks. Mayor, thanks once again for your time. Look forward to talking to you again next week.
Thanks, Dave. Bye-bye.
Learn more about the connection at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.